Hey guys, welcome to our Let 'em Run One Horse Wonder edition here on Thursday night. We don't have our man Sean the Genius Miller here with us tonight. He's taking care of some business. Sean does a lot of work helping people, helping students get smarter because Sean is not called Sean the Genius Miller for nothing. So once again, we'd like to welcome everyone for tuning in and joining us here tonight. Again, we're going to do our One Horse Wonders edition where we'll go through each race in the late pick five sequence at Gulfstream Park, which also includes a really cool pick, a cool bet that has been getting high and getting a lot of attention. It is the Tropical Turf Pick 3, where they do 3 turf races, not necessarily in a row, but on the card, typically later in the card, and they do it this time races 7, 9, and 11. So we'll be covering that in a little more detail on Saturday at our 12:30 podcast when my man Sean Miller will be joining me again to talk about some of the races that we'll talk briefly about tonight with regard to the late pick 5 sequence at Gulfstream Park. So we'll jump right in with our first race, which is race 7. It is a 5 furlong race, optional claiming 25K on turf. Interesting race. There are about 6 horses that have raced against each other several, especially lately in the last race or 2 back. They've seen each other a lot. I fall on the horse that I think has a really good chance to take this all the way. That horse is the 6 horse Esperon. This horse looks to be the speed of the speed. Yes, there is other speed in the race. There's no doubt. Zayas is on the horse for the second time for trainer David Brady. So he got a chance to figure out what's under the hood. So therefore, I think that he might not set some blistering fractions like he set before. He set some fractions that were 20 seconds, two back and 1 back. So, I mean, the 3 back and 1 back. So he can set some serious fractions. I don't think Zayas getting a chance to see him the second time under the hood is not going to let that happen. I mean, he's going to get there. He's going to get up there. That workout that he had on April 11th says, he's ready to go 47 seconds. David Brady with turf sprints. I know it says he's 0 for 14, but I think Zayas had a chance to figure him out. And I think that's going to be a big say in why this horse is going to have a really good chance of taking this field down. So again, we're going number 6, Esperon in race 7. Race 8, we're going to move on. Oh, again, and race 7 is the first race in the Tropical Turf Pick 3. So keep that in mind too. We'll talk again more about that on Saturday at 12:30. So our next race is race 8 at Gulfstream Park. Again, made in special weight, 6.5 furlongs on dirt. A field of 8 with 5 first-time starters. So, this is a race we're looking at the tote board. Obviously, we won't be able to check that out in the sequence that we're doing in the pick 5, but if you're betting that race live and you look at it, you're going to see that there are some horses that are live, depending on how they get bet. I fell on a horse that's not a first-time starter. It's the number 5 horse, Moment's Notice. Morning line is 9-5, so obviously looks like he might be, at post time. The favorite. He closed last time out at longer. Christophe Clement is turning the reins over to very capable Erasmael Jaramillo, a really good jockey. This horse gets bet a lot. I mean, if you look at the prices, again, he hasn't broken his maiden yet, but he must look awful good on the track. And, it takes a lot of money in every race. It's never good to see a horse, be bet to favoritism and not come through. But I think this time he's got a big chance to come through. He closed really well last time out. At 7 furlongs, I don't think 6.5 furlongs is going to be a problem for him. So let's keep that horse in mind. Number 5, Moment's Notice. If we move on to race 9, we go back to an optional claiming 1 mile 25K, non-winners of 1 on the turf course at 1 mile. Again, this is the second race in the Tropical Turf Pick 3 sequence. Again, we'll keep that in mind. We'll talk more about that on Saturday on our podcast at 12:30. I fell on the number 4 horse, Do Gooder. Being trained by Jenna Antonucci. I remember her from their win at the Belmont, first female trainer to win a Triple Crown race. So that's certainly something to be very proud of. And she's a good trainer. It's been a little cold down there in Gulfstream Park. I think that's going to end right here. This horse is being ridden by Jose Morelos. He brings home some decent, live shots here. 9-2 morning line of the horses I looked at as our one horse wonders. He's one of the better horses in terms of price. Workouts are on fire. I mean, he hasn't raced since October. It's not too long ago, but he has not missed a beat. She has not missed. Sorry, Sean. She has not missed a beat in her workouts and has some workouts that are just unbelievable. She's raced the last 2 times on turf, which were her first 2 times on first. She did come in third the last time out, ran a good race, is shortening up here a little bit, definitely possesses some speed. So I think that's going to be an asset. And I think this horse is going to get out and try and get a chance to wire this field. So that would be the horse I would look at very strongly in the 9th race at Gulfstream, the 4 horse Do Gooder. So take a shot with that horse and see what it looks like in your mind. Again, your opinion is the most important opinion, so keep that in mind. If we move on to the 10th race, optional claiming 62, 7 furlong, always, as Sean and I talk about very often, a tricky distance, 7 furlongs. They call it a sprint, but it's closer maybe to a route. 8 furlongs is a mile. 6 furlongs is definitely a sprint. There's lots of, when you look at the whole body of this race, which again, we'll take a closer look at it on Saturday at 12:30. There's a lot of horses that like the distance, 7 furlongs, and there's a lot of horses that are what we would call horse for course. They like Gulfstream Park. I fell on a horse that I find kind of interesting. The number 7 horse, Antiquarian. Todd Pletcher trains him. Edgar Zayas is riding him for the first time. His previous 5 races he has been ridden by Johnny Velasquez, obviously one of the best there is, Hall of Fame jockey. So Zayas is getting on for the first time. This horse has ran in some serious races against some serious horses. So he's getting dropped into an optional claiming 62, not going up for claim, been off for I think like 10 months, if I'm not mistaken. Been off since June of last year. But has raced at Saratoga, raced at Aqueduct, raced at Fairgrounds, raced against horses like Dornick, raced against Sierra Leone, Catching Freedom, Anna Maria, Tucson Gold, racing some grade 1s, grade 3s, grade 2 races. What's he doing in this race? Well, I think he's putting him in there to win. Maybe it is a kind of a prep race for a bigger race. Not sure. Not up for claim. Putting the best jockey in the collie on him. I think this horse is probably going to win for fun. He is the 9-5 morning line favorite. I'd be surprised if he stays at 9-5 when the gates open up. But definitely a horse that you want to keep an eye on. Antiquarian, the 7 horse. Also number 1 Prime Power, which isn't a surprise. Again, we talk about Prime Power all the time. Brisnet, which is a site that we follow a lot in terms of some information they give. Oftentimes they'll have a statistic, a percentage that may not be apparent to everyone in the daily racing form. And those kind of numbers can be helpful. So that's a horse I would definitely keep an eye on in that race, and then that should be an interesting race. 11th race, the final leg in the sequence of the Pick 5, and also the final leg of the sequence in the Tropical Turf Pick 3, which again is a really cool bet. It's a $3 base bet, so it's a little pricier than your 50-cent bets or your dollar bets in terms of the base bet. But it's been a popular bet, and it's been paying well. If you look back at some of the previous payouts for these Tropical Turf Pick 3s, especially last week and weeks in the past, it's definitely a good bet to invest in. So this race being the last leg, made in special weight, 1 mile on turf. Some good horses in here. I really like the 5-horse Candy Town. This horse is trained by Todd Pletcher, being ridden by Edgar Zayas. Certainly with the colony of jockeys who are there currently, he certainly stands out as the best jockey there. This horse is, I guess it looks like he did an experiment on dirt last time out. Still ran okay on dirt, but definitely has the breeding for turf. And so they're putting him back on turf now. So, with Edgar Zayas back on, Edgar Zayas was on him 2 back in the race on turf at Gulfstream Park. Last out, he went to Tampa for a little trip on some dirt. Again, ran well. And I was back at Gulfstream Park, working out like clockwork, ready to get back on turf. Another thing to note for this horse that I think is super and makes it even a bigger plus is that Todd Pletcher and Zayas are clicking when they hook up in the last 60 days at Gulfstream Park. They're clicking at 42% in a 12 sample size. Not a big sample, but 5 out of 12. I'll take that at any time with Edgar Zayas and Todd Pletcher hook up. I think that's a pretty strong combination. And again, I think there are other good horses in that race. It isn't made a special weight. We'll talk a little more about some of the horses that are possible in all the races that we like. Our article will be going out soon to check that out, where we break down some of the horses in all the races, races 7 through 11. And we'll talk about those horses even more in depth on Saturday at 12:30 on our podcast. So be sure to check it out on Saturday at 12:30, where we'll talk about some more horses in depth. And don't forget to check out that Tropical Turf Pick 3. It's a pretty cool bet. And we'll get more in detail about it. We'll talk a little bit about some of the Derby horses. We all know the Derby is just a short time away. The field, the jockeys are starting to be, labeled to get on their mounts, who they're going to be riding. The post position draw, which is very interesting. This year it's being drawn on the Saturday, the 26th, I believe, or the 27th, 1 week before the actual Derby on May 3rd. That's cool. So there'll be a lot of different thoughts that'll be going into what happens when those post positions are picked on that Saturday, 1 week before the Derby. So stay tuned. Thank you for watching. Let's pick some winners here. And don't forget to click subscribe and ring the bell so you can get future information on when we're doing this again. So be sure to watch the Saturday podcast, 12:30, when my man Sean, the Genius Miller, will be back with us. Always like to hear Sean's thoughts and comments on the races. I also want to thank Jim Williams for setting me up here to help me out with doing this podcast. And for our closing, which you are about to see right now, he did the opening, he did the closing. So thank you once again, and let him run. Good luck.